Chosen one, lock your focus. You did not find this video, it found you. For years, you have carried a heavy, nagging suspicion that a secret was being kept from you. You have felt a silence from heaven that felt like rejection. You have felt like you are playing a game where someone hid the instructions and everyone else knows the rules except you. I am here to tell you that you are not wrong. There was a secret, but you are not being rejected. You were under a spiritual non-disclosure agreement. Your destiny was so volatile, so high stakes, that God had to hide your true file even from you to keep you safe behind enemy lines. But as of this morning, your clearance level has changed. The gag order is lifted. It is time to open the file. It is time to tell you everything. But before we break the seal on this classified information, I need you to understand exactly where you are standing right now. Because if you do not understand the diagnosis, you will not survive the cure. I want you to think about the last 48 hours. There is a very specific physical sensation you have been carrying. It is not just sadness. It is not just anxiety. It sits right in the center of your chest, just behind your sternum. It feels like a pressure, like a weight that does not lift even when you sleep. You wake up tired, not because you did not sleep, but because your spirit was pacing the floor all night, looking for an exit that wasn't there. You go through your day, you do your job, you smile at the people you are supposed to smile at, but behind your eyes, there is a fog, a thick gray fog of confusion. You are suffering from ambiguity fatigue. Your nervous system is exhausted, not from work, not from physical labor, but from the sheer exhaustion of trying to guess what God is doing. You have been walking blindfolded for so long that your other senses are overloaded. You jump at shadows, you overanalyze every conversation, you replay every mistake, wondering if that was the one that disqualified you. Stay with me, because what I am about to reveal in this session will dismantle that fatigue permanently. By the end of this recording, you will not just have hope, you will have the blueprint. We are going to declassify the 3 layers of camouflage God used to hide you. We are going to inventory the weapons you forged in the dark. And we are going to walk through the 7 specific forms of warfare that will try to stop you when you finally step into the light. Do not skip a second of this briefing. You have waited years for these answers. Do not rush the revelation now. Let's go deeper into this feeling. I know about the car moments. You know the ones. You drive home from work or from the store. You pull into your driveway or your parking spot. You turn the engine off. The silence rushes in. And instead of getting out of the car, you just sit there. You stare at the steering wheel. You look at the front door of your house, but you cannot make your body move to open it. In those 5 minutes of silence in the car, the mask slips. You feel the crushing weight of a reality that does not match your potential. You know deep in your gut that you were made for something massive. You feel a power humming inside you that could light up a city. But when you look at your actual life, you see bills that are hard to pay. You see relationships that drain you. You see a career that feels too small for your spirit. And you ask the question, you may not say it out loud, but your heart screams it. Why? Why is it so hard for me? This brings us to the most painful part of your diagnosis. The glass wall. Picture this clearly in your mind. Imagine you are standing in a soundproof room made of glass. Outside the glass, you see everyone else. You see people who do not pray like you pray, people who do not have your heart, people who compromise, who cheat, who lie. And yet, the glass doors seem to open automatically for them. They get the promotion without trying. They stumble into relationships that look happy. They walk through life with a lightness that makes you jealous. And there you are, on the other side of the glass. You are screaming. You are banging on the wall. You are showing God your scars. You are pointing to your track record of faithfulness. You are yelling, I did everything you asked. I stayed faithful. I forgave them. I gave when I had nothing. Why is the door locked for me? You feel invisible. You feel like a ghost in your own life. This feeling of being unseen has birthed a terrifying thought, a thought you are afraid to admit because it feels like a sin. The thought is, God has forgotten me. You are in good company with that thought. King David, the man after God's own heart, felt the exact same vibration. In Psalm 13 verse 1 he cried out, "How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me?" I want to unpack that word forget because the English translation steals the power from it. In the original Hebrew language, the word David used is shakach. Shakach does not just mean to have a memory lapse. God does not have amnesia. He is not an old man who misplaced his keys. The word shakach means to mislay because of priority. It implies setting something aside intentionally to deal with it later. It creates the feeling of being withered or limp from lack of attention. David wasn't saying, "God, did you lose my file?" He was saying, "God, it feels like you put my file on the bottom of the stack on purpose. It feels like you prioritized everyone else's emergency over my destiny. It feels like you withered me." That is where you are right now. You feel shakached. You feel set aside. You feel like the world is moving at high speed and you have been placed on a shelf in a dark room, gathering dust. But here is the truth that shatters the glass. You are not placed behind that glass wall to be punished. You are not set aside because you are unworthy. You are not ignored. You are sequestered. That glass wall is not a prison cell. It is a bulletproof shield. The reason you have felt invisible, the reason you have felt blocked, the reason the doors wouldn't open no matter how hard you banged on them is not because heaven is empty. It is because you are placed in a spiritual witness protection program. There is a divine logic to your isolation. There is a strategic reason for the delay. The enemy has been hunting for you since you took your first breath, looking for the signature of your destiny. If God had allowed you to be seen prematurely, if He had let you walk through those doors when you wanted to, you would not be standing here today. You would have been taken out by a sniper in the spirit realm before you ever learned how to hold a weapon. So God hid you. He wrapped you in a blanket of obscurity. He let people misunderstand you. He let you look like a failure to the world. He let you feel the ache of the shakash, the feeling of being set aside. He did not do it to hurt you. He did it to hide the coordinates of your location until you were strong enough to survive the exposure. But listen to me closely. The threat level has changed. The training phase in the dark is complete. The incubation period is over. That glass wall? It was never meant to be your permanent residence. It was a temporary holding cell for a high-value asset. And I'm holding the key to unlock it right now. We are about to walk out of the safe house. I'm going to show you exactly how this protection program worked, why it felt so painful, and most importantly, why the locks are disengaging at this exact second. You need to prepare yourself. Because when the wall comes down, the real mission begins. Let us step inside this safe house. I want you to visualize the spiritual address where you have been residing for the last few years. It does not look like a prison cell with iron bars, but it feels like one. It feels like a small, quiet apartment with the blinds drawn tight. You can look through the slats of the blinds and see the world moving outside. You see the traffic of other people's lives speeding by. You see the lights of their celebrations, but they cannot see you. You are in the room, but you are off the grid. No matter how many times you try to open the front door to join the party outside, the handle will not turn. No matter how many times you pick up the phone to call for an opportunity, the line is dead. You have spent nights pacing the floor of this spiritual safe house, asking yourself what you did wrong. You have looked at the silence of your phone and the emptiness of your schedule and internalized it as failure. You told yourself that if you were truly anointed, if you were truly chosen, you would be out there, on the stage, in the boardroom, in the relationship, making waves. You told yourself that this isolation is proof of your inadequacy. But you have misread the room. You are not in solitary confinement because you are a criminal. You are in protective custody because you are a witness. This is the Spiritual Witness Protection Program. In the federal justice system, when a witness possesses evidence that can bring down a crime syndicate, the government does not let them walk around freely. They do not let them keep their old address. They do not let them post on social media. They scrub their identity. They move them to a hidden location. They cut off their communication with their past. They isolate them completely. Why? Not to punish the witness, but to keep them alive until the trial date. Chosen one, you need to understand the magnitude of what you carry. You're not just a nice person trying to live a good life. In the spirit realm, you are a walking piece of evidence against the kingdom of darkness. Your very existence, your DNA, the specific anointing God placed in your spirit, poses a catastrophic threat to the enemy's agenda. You carry the frequency that can shatter generational curses that have run in your bloodline for centuries. You carry the blueprint that can disrupt systems of greed and corruption in your industry. You carry the love that can heal trauma the enemy spent decades inflicting. The enemy knows who you are, even when you do not. He recognized your signature before you were born, and he took out a contract on your destiny. He has been trying to assassinate your purpose since you were a child. Think back. Think about the accidents that should have killed you but didn't. Think about the people who tried to destroy your reputation for no reason. Think about the sudden waves of depression that tried to take you out. Those were assassination attempts. And because you are so high value, and because the threat level was so critical, God initiated the Witness Protection Protocol. He snatched you out of the traffic of normal life. He sequestered you. He wrapped you in the silence. He hid you in the cleft of the rock. You thought God was ignoring you. No. God was hiding you. He was scrambling your signal so the enemy could not track your coordinates. This is not just a metaphor. This is a biblical principle that has been lost in translation. I want to take you to the book of Colossians, chapter 3, verse 3. In English, it says simply, "For you died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God." We read that word hidden, and we think of a child hiding under a blanket because they are scared. Or we think of someone hiding a shameful secret in a closet. We associate hiding with weakness, with fear, or with shame. But the original Greek word used in this verse is krypto. Does that sound familiar? It is the root word for crypto, for cryptography, for encryption. When Paul wrote that your life is hidden with Christ, he was not saying your life is lost. He was saying your life is encrypted. Krypto means to conceal something valuable to prevent its theft. It means to keep a secret safe by encoding it so that only the one with the key can access it. When you send a secure message over the internet, it is encrypted. It is scrambled into chaos so that hackers cannot read it. To the hacker, the message looks like garbage. It looks like noise. It looks like nothing. But to the receiver with the key, it is a clear, perfect message. That is what God did to your life. He krypto-ed you. He encrypted your destiny. To the world and even to yourself at times, your life has looked like noise. It has looked like chaos. It has looked like a mess of random delays and closed doors and broken pieces. The enemy looks at your life and thinks, there is nothing there. Just a confused person going nowhere. He moves on, looking for an easier target. He does not realize that underneath the confusion, underneath the delay, there is a king in waiting. There is a prophet in training. There is a billionaire in the making. God encrypted you to fool the enemy. He made you look like a failure so you could survive long enough to become a conqueror. So I need you to change the way you see this season of hiding. Stop banging on the windows of the safe house, begging to be let out. Stop apologizing for your obscurity. Stop feeling guilty that you are not as visible as the people around you. The people you're jealous of, the ones who seem to have instant success and constant attention. They are not in the protection program because they are not carrying evidence that threatens the enemy. The enemy does not need to assassinate what he already owns, and he does not need to hide what he does not fear. You are hidden because you are hunted, and you are hunted because you are heavy. You carry the weight of glory, and that weight requires a season of being cryptoed, of being encrypted until the fullness of time. But here is the question that haunts you in the quiet of the safe house. I know you ask it, because every chosen one asks it. You look at the four walls of your isolation, and you ask, but God, did it have to be this painful? Did the hiding have to feel so much like rejection? Did the protection have to look so much like failure? You're asking about the mechanism of the hiding. You're asking how the witness protection program actually works day to day. You see, God does not just snap his fingers and make you invisible. He uses specific, tangible methods to keep you separated from the world. He uses tools to build the walls of that safe house. And because you did not know they were tools of protection, you experienced them as weapons of destruction. You thought these things were happening to you, but they were actually happening for you. There are 3 specific layers of camouflage that God uses to hide his most valuable assets. You have tasted all 3 of them. You have choked on the bitterness of them. You have cried yourself to sleep over them, but you did not recognize them as camouflage. You called them by different names. You called them rejection, you called them delay, and you called them isolation. These are the 3 walls of your safe house, and what I am about to tell you will change the way you look at every person who ever walked out of your life, and every opportunity that ever slipped through your fingers. It is time to inspect the camouflage. The first layer of camouflage God wrapped around you was rejection. You have internalized rejection as a judgment on your worth. You thought people walked away because you were not good enough, not smart enough, or not attractive enough. But in the Spiritual Witness Protection Program, rejection is not a judgment. It is a cloaking device. God deliberately made you unattractive to the wrong people. He made you repel the opportunities that looked like blessings but were actually traps. Think about that relationship you cried over for months. The one you begged God to save. You thought the breakup was a tragedy. But from heaven's perspective, it was a rescue mission. God saw the knife behind their back that you could not see. He saw the compromise that would have slowly bled your spirit dry over the next 10 years. So he created a conflict. He hardened their heart. He forced a rejection to push you into the safety of the safe house. That no you heard was not the voice of abandonment. It was the sound of the lock clicking shut on your protection cell. The second layer of camouflage is delay. This is the one that frustrates you the most. You have watched people with half your talent and none of your integrity speed past you on the highway of life. They get the business loans approved instantly. They get the marriage proposals. They get the viral moments, and you are stuck in traffic. You are moving at 5 miles an hour while everyone else is going 80. But you need to understand the radar of the enemy. The enemy tracks speed. He tracks movement. When a target rises too fast, it appears on his radar screen and he dispatches arrows to take it down. God put a governor on your engine. He deliberately slowed you down to keep you under the enemy's radar. That delay was not a denial. It was a holding pattern. God was keeping you circling in the air, waiting for the runway to clear because he knew if you landed 5 years ago, you would have crashed into a war you were not equipped to fight. The third layer is isolation. This is the loneliness that aches in your bones. You feel like you cannot connect deeply with anyone. Even when you are in a crowded room, you feel like you are speaking a different language. This is not because you are socially awkward. It is because you are in quarantine. God had to isolate you to sterilize you. He had to separate you from the groupthink, from the cultural programming, and from the toxic generational patterns of your family. He could not download the new operating system into your spirit while you were still connected to the old network. So he cut the cord. He put you in the safe house alone, not to punish you, but to purify you. This is not a new method. This is a biblical pattern that has repeated throughout history. If you look closely at the scriptures, you will see a mathematical formula that God uses for every high-level deliverer. The formula is this: anointing plus camouflage equals survival. Look at David. He was anointed king of Israel by Samuel. The oil was dripping down his head. He had the promise. He had the prophecy. But where did he go next? Did he go to the palace? Number. He went to the cave of Adullam. He spent years living in a hole in the ground, surrounded by outcasts, hiding from Saul. To the world, he looked like a fugitive. He looked like a failure. But he was actually in the witness protection program. If David had marched straight to the throne the day he was anointed, Saul would have killed him. The cave was his camouflage. Look at Elijah. He called down fire from heaven. He carried the massive power of God. And immediately, after his greatest victory, God told him to hide by the brook Cherith. He was isolated. He was alone. He was fed by ravens. To the world, Elijah had vanished. He was irrelevant, but he was being preserved for the next assignment. You fit this pattern, chosen one. Your timeline is not broken. It is biblical. You're currently in your Adullam. You are by your brook Cherith. The rejection, the delay, and the isolation are simply the walls of your cave. But I know what you are thinking. You are thinking, this sounds like nice theology, but does it actually work in the real world? Does this spiritual protection actually save me from anything tangible, or is it just a way to make me feel better about my bad luck? Let me tell you a story about someone who is watching this video right now. I will not use their name, but they will know who they are. 3 years ago, this person was standing in the lobby of a major corporation. They had just interviewed for a position they desperately needed. It was a leadership role that would have solved all their financial problems. They had the experience. They nailed the interview. They felt the peace of God in the room. They were sure this was the open door. 2 weeks later, they were sitting at their kitchen table. I want you to zoom into this moment because you have been there. It is 10 in the morning on a Tuesday. The house is quiet. They're holding a thin white envelope. Their hands are shaking just slightly, a tiny tremor in the fingers. They rip it open. They pull out the letter. They scan the first paragraph. We regret to inform you. The room goes cold. They drop the letter on the table. It slides across the wood surface and stops next to a coffee mug. They pick up their phone. They open their banking app. They stare at the screen. The balance is in double digits. They refresh the page, hoping it is a mistake. The number stays the same. They put the phone down and put their head in their hands. They feel the hot sting of tears pressing behind their eyes. They whisper, "God, why? I needed this. I thought you were with me." For the next 6 months, they went through hell. The delay was excruciating. The isolation was suffocating. They felt like a failure every time they looked at that bank account. They had to take a lowly job just to keep the lights on. They were humiliated. They were hidden. But here is what they did not know. 8 months after that rejection letter, the news broke. That major corporation, the one that looked so perfect, the one that rejected them, was raided by federal agents. It turned out the entire department they applied for was a front for massive financial fraud. Every single manager in that department was indicted. If they had gotten that job, if the door had opened, they would have been the one signing the fraudulent documents. They would have been the one facing prison time. They would have been the fall guy. The rejection was a shield. The delay was a barricade. The isolation kept their name off the indictment list. While they were crying over the closed door, God was blocking a bullet they did not even know was fired. And in the quiet of that lowly job, in the safety of that camouflage, God gave them an idea. A small, quiet idea for a business. They started working on it at night when the house was silent. They built it without fanfare. They built it without the pressure of a high-profile corporate job. And today, that business is not just paying their bills. It is funding their destiny. It is clean. It is theirs. and it is untouchable by the enemy. That is the power of the camouflage. So I want you to look at your rejection differently today. I want you to look at the job you didn't get, the loan that didn't go through, the person who stopped texting you. Stop grieving them. Stop trying to resuscitate dead things. Those things died so you could live. But listen to me closely, chosen one. Because we are approaching the most critical part of this briefing, you might be thinking that protection is the only reason for this season. You might be thinking, okay, God hid me to keep me safe. That makes sense. I can accept that. But that is not the whole truth. That is the comfortable truth. That is the truth that helps you sleep at night. But if safety was the only objective, God would not have left you in the dark this long. If He just wanted to protect you, He could have whisked you away to a paradise. He could have raptured you. He could have put you in a coma of bliss. He did not do that. He left you conscious in the struggle. He left you awake in the fire. Why? Because you were not just hidden to be safe. You were not just put in the witness protection program to survive. There is a darker, more aggressive, and infinitely more powerful reason for your isolation. It is the reason the heat has been turned up so high in the last few months. It is the reason you feel like you are being crushed, not just covered. You are not just being hidden. You are being forged, and what God has been making in the dark is something the world is not ready for. The twist is this: you are not hidden to be preserved, you were hidden to be forged. There is a massive difference between a diamond in a safe deposit box and a sword in a furnace. The diamond is kept in the dark to keep it from being stolen. It sits there, passive, unchanged, just waiting for the owner to come back. But a sword is put into the fire to change its molecular structure. It is subjected to heat that would destroy anything else. It is beaten. It is hammered. It is plunged into cold water and then thrown back into the fire again. If the sword had a voice, it would scream. It would say, "God, stop hitting me. Stop burning me. I thought I was chosen. Why are you treating me like an enemy?" But the blacksmith knows something the sword does not. He knows that if he pulls the sword out of the fire too soon, it will be brittle. It will shatter the first time it strikes armor. He keeps it in the heat, not because he hates the steel, but because he respects the war it is about to enter. You have been crying out for the heat to stop. You have been praying for the hammering to end. But the silence of God was not indifference. It was the concentration of a master craftsman who refused to let you go into battle as a brittle weapon. This changes everything about how you view your suffering. The depression wasn't just a chemical imbalance. It was the pressure chamber. The betrayal wasn't just bad luck. It was the tempering process to make your heart unbreakable. The poverty wasn't just a lack of resources. It was a lesson in sourcing your supply from the Spirit so you would never be bought by a man. You are not a victim of your darkness. You are a product of it. This is exactly what God meant in Isaiah chapter 45, verse 3. He speaks to Cyrus, a man he anointed to take down nations, and he says, "I will give you the treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places." We read that and we think of gold coins hidden in a cave, but we need to look at the context. God was speaking to a warrior king who was about to conquer Babylon, the greatest empire of the time. God was saying, "Cyrus, I am going to give you things that can only be found in the dark. I am going to give you night vision. I'm going to give you the ability to navigate where others stumble. I am going to give you a grit and a gravity that people who lived in the light their whole lives do not possess. The treasures of darkness are not physical gold. They are spiritual weight. They are the authority that comes from hell-shaking survival. You have that authority. You have those treasures. You possess secrets about endurance that the people in the sunlight will never understand. But now, I need to speak to the voice that just whispered in the back of your mind. I hear it. It is quiet, but it is terrified. Now that you know you are a weapon, now that you know the forge is opening and the light is coming, part of you wants to run back into the fire. This is the shadow work we must do right now. Because there is a dirty little secret that chosen ones carry, a thought so raw we are afraid to speak it out loud, even to God. The thought is this: I'm actually more afraid of the blessing than I was of the burden. I want you to be honest with yourself for a moment. Don't perform for me. Don't perform for God. Just sit with this truth. When I say that your breakthrough is here, when I say that you are about to be exposed to the world, does your stomach tighten? Do you feel a sudden urge to hide? There is a voice in your head that says, what if I am not ready? What if I get the promotion and I humiliate myself? What if I get the money and I lose it? What if I get the marriage and I ruin it like I ruined everything else? At least in the dark, nobody was watching. At least in the obscurity, my failures were private. If I step into the light, everyone will see my scars. You are suffering from the fear of light. It is a biological reaction. If you have been locked in a dark room for 10 years and someone suddenly throws open the door to the noonday sun, your eyes will burn. Your instinct will be to squeeze them shut and beg for the darkness back. The light hurts at first. You have become comfortable in your struggle. You have built an identity around being the victim, the one who waits, the one who suffers. You know how to survive pain. You are an expert at pain, but you are an amateur at joy. You do not know how to handle happiness without looking over your shoulder, waiting for the other shoe to drop. And the enemy loves this fear. He is whispering to you right now, telling you that you are an imposter. He is saying, who do you think you are? You are broken. You are traumatized. Look at you. You are a mess. If people saw the real you, they would laugh. Stay in the cave. It is safer here. I want you to do a mental action with me right now. Do not move your body. Just shift your mind. Imagine you are standing at the mouth of that cave. Behind you is the warm, familiar darkness of your past. It is painful, but it is predictable. In front of you is a blinding white light. It is your future. It is terrifyingly bright. I want you to look at that fear of the light. Do not fight it. Do not rebuke it. Just look at it. That fear is not a sign that you are weak. It is a sign that you are sane. Only a fool walks into a war without trembling. The fact that you are scared proves that you understand the weight of the mantle you are about to carry. The people who crash and burn are the ones who run into the spotlight with zero fear and zero humility. Your fear is actually your safety mechanism. It is the proof that you will rely on God because you know you cannot do this alone. So tell that voice in your head, I'm scared. And that is okay. I'm terrified of the light. And that is okay. I will walk into it trembling if I have to, but I will not stay in the cave. Because you didn't survive the fire just to die in the smoke. You didn't survive the forging process just to sit on a shelf and rust. You were made to be wielded. So now that we have acknowledged the fear and we have accepted the forging, we need to take stock of what you actually have in your hands. You feel empty, but you are loaded. You feel like you lost everything in the dark, but you actually gained an arsenal. It is time to turn on the lights in the armory. It is time to look at the specific weapons you developed while everyone else was sleeping. You have no idea how dangerous you are about to become. Let's take inventory. You have spent so much time looking at the empty spaces in your life that you have missed the heavy artillery God has been loading into your spirit. You look at your bank account and see a zero. You look at your social calendar and see a blank page. And your old self, the victim self, whispers, I have lost everything. I am 40 years old and I have nothing to show for it. I am behind. I am empty. But your new self, the forged self, needs to speak up right now. It needs to interrupt that lie with the truth of the inventory. You did not lose everything. You lost the things that were weighing you down. You lost the fake friends who only loved you when you were convenient. You lost the job that was killing your soul. You lost the need for external validation. And in exchange, you gained the night vision protocol. I want you to mentally walk into the armory of your spirit right now. Do not move your body. just move your attention inward. Look at what is hanging on the walls of your soul. Weapon number 1 is high-definition discernment. Before the darkness, you were naive. You trusted people because they smiled. You signed contracts because they looked good on paper, but look at you now. You can walk into a room and instantly feel the spirit of a person before they even speak. You can smell a lie 3 sentences into a conversation. You can detect a snake in a suit from a mile away. That isn't paranoia. That is intel. You bought that weapon with the price of betrayal. You paid for it with the tears of the knife in your back. And now, you are unscammable. Weapon number 2 is immunity to applause. Before the hiding, you needed people to like you to feel okay. You performed for them. You twisted yourself into knots to keep the peace. But the darkness stripped that away. You learned how to survive when nobody was clapping. You learned how to pray when nobody was watching. And now, you are dangerous because you cannot be bought with a compliment, and you cannot be destroyed by a criticism. You have a self-sustaining generator of worth that comes straight from the throne room. Weapon number 3 is spiritual grit. Most people are brittle. One bad day, one bad breakup, one bad financial quarter, and they crumble. They quit. But you have taken hits that would have hospitalized an ordinary person, and you are still standing. You are still believing. You have developed an iron stomach for hardship. That resilience is not a personality trait. It is a weapon of mass endurance. So tell your old self to be quiet. You are not empty. You are armed to the teeth. But I know the question that lingers. You are a spiritual person, so you need to know if this concept of hiding to empower is just a coping mechanism or if it is a law of the kingdom. You're asking, is this actually how God operates? Let me take you to the pattern. This is not just a theory. It is the architecture of anointing. King David laid out this blueprint in Psalm 27, verse 5. He said, "For in the time of trouble he shall hide me in his pavilion. In the secret place of his tabernacle he shall hide me. He shall set me high upon a rock." We read that word pavilion and we gloss over it. We think it means a nice little gazebo in a garden. But the Hebrew word David used is sukkah. It refers to a temporary shelter, a booth, a tent used on a battlefield or in the wilderness. David was a warrior. He knew that in the heat of battle, the general does not put his best soldier on the front lines continuously until he dies. He pulls him back into the sukkah, into the tent. Why? 2 reasons. First, to protect him from the arrow that flies by day. But secondly, and more importantly, to show him the map. The pavilion is not just a hiding place. It is a strategy room. It is where the king whispers the battle plan for the next conquest. You cannot hear the whisper of the king when you are screaming on the battlefield. You can only hear it in the sukkah. Look at the pattern across Scripture. It is a mathematical equation. The years hidden equal the radius of impact. Moses was hidden on the backside of a desert for 40 years. 40 years of silence. 40 years of talking to sheep. Why? Because he needed to carry a nation. His radius of impact was millions of people, so his hiding time had to be 4 decades. Paul was hidden in the Arabian desert for 3 years after his conversion. He didn't go straight to Jerusalem to preach. He went into the sukkah. Why? Because he needed to write 2/3 of the New Testament. Jesus himself, the Son of God, lived in obscurity for 30 years. 30 years of being a carpenter, 30 years of being known as just Mary's son, for a 3-year ministry that would change the cosmos. So look at your timeline again. If you have been hidden for a long time, if you have been in the sukkah for years, do not despair. It means your radius of impact is massive. God does not build a foundation that deep for a shack. He builds it that deep for a skyscraper. But there is one area where this hiding hurts the most. It is not your career. It is not your finances. It is your heart. You're asking, what about the loneliness? What about the people I love? I want to tell you about a chosen one who is listening to this right now. Let's call him the Black Sheep. Last Christmas, he sat at a dinner table with 15 of his family members. I want you to zoom into this moment because you have sat in this chair. The room is warm. There is food on the table. Everyone is laughing. They are talking about sports, about the weather, about the neighbors. Surface level noise. And he is sitting there, physically present, but spiritually a million miles away. He tries to join the conversation, to share a dream God gave him or a spiritual insight he learned. The table goes quiet. They look at him with that mix of pity and annoyance. His uncle makes a joke. "Oh, here comes the preacher again." His mother sighs and says, "Can't we just have a normal dinner?" He goes to the bathroom, locks the door, turns on the faucet so they don't hear him, and he cries. He looks in the mirror and says to himself, "What is wrong with me? Why can't I just fit in? Why do I feel like an alien in my own bloodline?" For years, he thought he was the problem. He tried to dim his light. He tried to dumb down his conversation. He tried to laugh at jokes that weren't funny. He twisted himself into a pretzel, trying to belong to people who were committed to misunderstanding him. But then, the revelation hit him. The isolation wasn't a rejection of his personality. It was a protection of his anointing. He realized that if he fit in with them, he would become like them. If he was comfortable at that table, he would settle for that life. And God loved him too much to let him settle. So God made him awkward. God made him strange to them. God put a holy static in the connection so he would be forced to seek a different family. And because he finally accepted that he didn't belong, he stopped trying. He walked away from the table. And 6 months later, he walked into a room of strangers, a prayer group, a business meeting, a random encounter. And he opened his mouth, and they understood him. They didn't just tolerate him, they celebrated him. He found his tribe, but he only found his tribe because the isolation forced him to leave the village that was too small for his spirit. That is you. The loneliness you feel is not because you are unlovable. It is because you are distinct. You are an eagle trying to have a conversation with chickens. It will never work, and God is blocking the connection to save you from pecking at the ground for the rest of your life. So stand tall in your difference. Wear your awkwardness like a badge of honor. It is the proof that you are set apart for something else. Now, take a breath. Feel the shift in your spirit. You understand the camouflage. You understand the forge. You have taken inventory of your weapons. You see the biblical pattern. You accept the relationship filter. You are standing at the exit of the witness protection program. The door is unlocking. The light is flooding in. But I must warn you, the moment you step out of that door, the moment you shed the camouflage and reveal who you really are, you become visible again. And you're not just visible to your destiny, you are visible to your enemy. He has been waiting for this moment too. He knows he couldn't touch you while you were hidden, but he has prepared a welcome party for your exposure. He has a playbook with 7 specific traps designed to take you out the moment you start to succeed. If you do not know what these 7 traps are, you will fall into the first one within 40 days. But if you have the intelligence briefing, you will step right over them. It is time to open the enemy's playbook. Open the playbook. We are going to look at the strategies the enemy has drafted specifically for your coming out party. But first, you need to recognize the physical sensation of the exposure shock. You might have felt it already in the last 48 hours. It happens when you finally decide to step into your new identity. You make a decision to start the business, or to speak the truth, or to walk in confidence. You feel good. You feel strong. And then you walk into a room, or you wake up the next morning and the atmosphere feels heavy. It is not a temperature change, but you feel a sudden chill across your shoulders. The hair on your arms stands up. Your stomach drops for no logical reason. You feel a sudden wave of fatigue that hits you like a truck. It feels like the air in the room has been sucked out and you are breathing through a straw. Do not panic when this happens. That physical resistance is confirmation. It is the spiritual equivalent of a sonic boom. When a jet fighter breaks the sound barrier, it creates a shock wave. When you break the barrier of your obscurity and step into your destiny, you create a spiritual shock wave. The enemy feels it, and he turns his head to look at you. For years, he ignored you because you were hidden in the camouflage. You were not a threat, but now you are blinking on his radar screen. And because he cannot stop God's plan, he tries to stop God's person. He attacks the vessel, but he does not attack randomly. This is what you must understand. The enemy is not creative. He is repetitive. He uses the same playbook because it works. The Apostle Paul warned us about this in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11. He told us to stand against the wiles of the devil. That word wiles in the Greek is methodia. It is where we get the English word method. It means the enemy has a method. He has a system. He has a methodical, calculated strategy of lying in wait. He does not throw spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. He studies your file, he looks for the cracks in your armor, and he deploys a specific methodeia to dismantle you. There are 7 specific forms of this warfare that are deployed against chosen ones immediately after they exit the wilderness. The first 3 are psychological. They attack your mind, your memory, and your emotions. Form number 1 is the imposter voice. This attack usually hits you right after a major victory or a moment of clarity. You feel ready. You feel anointed. And then a voice speaks in your mind. It sounds exactly like your own voice, but the frequency is different. It says, "Who do you think you are? You are a fraud. You are broken. Do you remember what you did 5 years ago? Do you remember your mistakes? If people knew the real you, they would laugh. You're just playing dress up. This is not just self-doubt. This is a targeted accusation. You will feel it physically. It feels like a tightening in the throat. It feels like you want to shrink physically, to curl up, to be smaller. It triggers a sudden urge to delete the post, to cancel the meeting, to apologize for taking up space. Recognize this for what it is. It is the enemy trying to get you to agree with your old identity. He wants you to identify as the trauma, not the triumph. When you feel this, do not argue with it. Just label it. Say, "This is form number 1. This is the imposter voice." And keep moving. Form number 2 is the zombie resurrection. This is the most common and the most emotionally confusing attack. As soon as you detach from the past will try to call you back. Within 40 days of your internal shift, someone from your past will resurface. It might be an ex-partner. It might be a toxic friend. It might be a family member you had to distance yourself from. It starts with a notification on your phone. You see the name and your heart skips a beat. Not out of love, but out of shock. It is a text that says, "I was just thinking about you," or "I miss our friendship." Your brain will try to romanticize this. You will think, maybe they have changed. Maybe this is a sign of restoration. Maybe God is bringing them back. No, this is a zombie resurrection. Dead things are supposed to stay dead. The enemy brings them back right now because he knows they are your kryptonite. He knows they know which buttons to push to drain your energy. He wants to tether you back to a timeline you have already graduated from. If you engage with the zombie, if you reply to the text, if you open that door, you will not restore the relationship. You will drain your battery. You will find yourself exhausted, confused, and right back in the emotional chaos you spent years escaping. When the dead try to come back, do not open the door. Leave it in the grave. Form number 3 is the phantom pain. This attack is subtle. It targets your healing. You have done the work. You have forgiven. You have moved on. You feel whole. And then, out of nowhere, a wave of old grief hits you. A memory flashes in your mind of a betrayal that happened 10 years ago. And suddenly, you feel the pain as sharply as if it happened this morning. You feel the anger boiling up. You feel the sadness crushing your lungs. The enemy wants you to believe that your healing was fake. He wants you to think, I haven't made any progress. I'm still the same broken person. But this is a lie. This is phantom pain. It is like an amputee who feels pain in a leg that is no longer there. The leg is gone, but the nerve endings are firing a memory of pain. The betrayal is gone. The trauma is over. You are healed. The enemy is just projecting a hologram of the old wound to see if you will agree with it. He wants you to claim the pain again. He wants you to say, my anxiety, my depression, my trauma. Do not claim it. It is a phantom. It is a shadow on the wall. Walk right through it. These first three forms, the imposter, the zombie, and the phantom, are designed to break your mind. They are designed to make you retreat back into the safe house out of fear. But if you can stand your ground against these psychological attacks, if you can refuse to agree with the lies, the enemy will shift his strategy. He will stop attacking your mind and start attacking your reality. The next four forms are not in your head. They are in your life. They are tangible. They attack your wallet, your focus, and your reputation. These are the heavy hitters. And the next one, form number 4, is the one that takes out more chosen ones than any other trap in existence. Form number 4 is the counterfeit blessing. This is the most dangerous trap because it looks exactly like the answer to your prayers. You have been praying for a financial breakthrough. You have been praying for a platform, and suddenly, an opportunity drops in your lap. It looks perfect. The money is right. The title is right. But there is a catch. It requires you to compromise just a tiny fraction of your values. It requires you to be busy when you should be resting. It requires you to connect with people who drain your spirit. I want you to visualize this moment because it will happen. You are sitting at a desk. There is a contract in front of you. You have a pen in your hand. Your brain is doing the math, telling you how much easier your life will be if you sign. But your spirit, that deep, quiet place in your gut, is leaning back. You feel a hesitation. You feel a check in your spirit. Do not override that check. That is the Holy Spirit flashing a red light. The enemy knows you are hungry, so he offers you bread that is poisoned. He wants to lock you into a golden handcuff, a commitment that looks like success, but feels like slavery. Here is your micro-action for this battle. When you feel that hesitation, put the pen down. Literally, open your hand and let the pen drop on the table. Push the paper away. Say out loud, if I have to force it, it is not from God. Real blessings add no sorrow. Counterfeits bring a bill you cannot afford to pay. Form number 5 is the smear campaign. As you rise, your shadow gets longer, and it will fall on people who are determined to misunderstand you. You will hear whispers. You will see the screenshots. You will find out that people you fed are now biting your hand. The enemy wants you to leave your high place and come down into the mud to fight with pigs. He wants you to defend yourself. He wants you to type out that long paragraph explaining your side of the story. He wants you to waste your creative energy on damage control. Here is how you win. When you see the lie, when you hear the rumor, do not type a single word. Turn your phone face down on the table. Walk out of the room. Silence is not weakness. Silence is the highest frequency of warfare. Your defense is not your keyboard. Your defense is your fruit. Let your results speak so loud that your enemies sound ridiculous. Form number 6 is the illusion of scarcity. This is a paradox. Often, right before the massive financial release, everything dries up. The stream stops flowing. A bill comes that wipes out your savings. The enemy wants you to panic. He wants you to grip your money tight. He wants you to say, God failed me. But this is not a failure. It is a test of the flow. Imagine a hose that has been kinked. The pressure builds up behind the kink right before the water bursts out. That pressure you feel in your finances is not lack. It is the buildup of the breakthrough. When this happens, do the illogical thing. Find someone to bless. Buy someone a coffee. Give $1 to a stranger. Break the spirit of fear by an act of generosity. It tells the enemy, "You cannot scare me with lack because I know who my source is." Form number 7 is the glory theft. This is the final boss. When the breakthrough comes, and it will come, when the applause starts, when the numbers go up, you will be tempted to touch the glory. You will be tempted to look in the mirror and say, "Look what I built. Look how smart I am." The moment you touch the glory, the grace lifts. The enemy knows that pride comes before a fall, so he will hand you a mirror and tell you how beautiful you are. Here is your counter move. When the compliment comes, when the check clears, physically deflect it. Point up. In your heart, get on your face. Say, "God, this is yours. I am just the mailman delivering your package. I do not own the mail. You now have the playbook. You know the 7 forms. You know the counter strategies. You're no longer a defenseless target. You're a dangerous warrior. But knowing the strategy is not enough. You need the authority to execute it. You need the keys. We are arriving at the transfer point. This is the moment in the briefing where the general hands the operative the equipment for the mission. I want to take you to the final piece of intelligence before we seal this. It is found in Revelation chapter 3, verse 8. God says, "See, I have set before you an open door, and no one can shut it. For you have a little strength, have kept my word, and have not denied my name." We love the part about the open door. We shout about the open door, but we skip the context. We skip the reason why the door is open. God does not say, "I open the door because you are a giant." He does not say, "I open the door because you are strong and mighty and perfect." He says, "I opened it because you have a little strength." This message was sent to the church in Philadelphia. They were not the mega church. They were not the power players. They were the ones who were tired. They were the ones who felt weak. They were the ones who felt like they were barely hanging on. And God says to them, "That is exactly why I picked you." The world opens doors for the strong, the loud, and the arrogant. But in the kingdom, the door opens for the one who admits they have only a little strength left, but who use that little strength to keep his word. You have been disqualified by men because you didn't look strong enough. You have been overlooked because you didn't have the connections. But God is saying, your weakness is not a liability. It is your credential. Because when you are weak, He is strong. The fact that you are still standing, despite having only a little strength, is proof that His hand is holding you up. So we are going to do the handover right now. I want you to visualize yourself standing in a long hallway. At the end of the hallway is a massive door. It is the door to your destiny. It is the door to the everything we have been talking about. For years, you have been standing there holding a heavy bag. That bag is filled with your victimhood. It is filled with your why me. It is filled with your it's not fair. It is filled with your identity as the ignored one, the hidden one, the rejected one. You cannot walk through the open door carrying that bag. It is too wide. It will not fit. You have to hand it over. In your mind, I want you to see yourself dropping that bag. Feel the weight leave your shoulders. Hear the thud as it hits the floor. You are leaving the identity of the victim. And now, look at your hands. They are empty. They are open. And because they are open, God is placing something in them. He is placing the keys of authority. He is saying, you are no longer a witness in protection. You are a witness in power. You are no longer hidden. You are revealed. You are no longer waiting for the storm to pass. You are the storm. Can you feel the shift in the atmosphere? The air in your room is getting heavy. The hair on your arms is standing up. This is not just adrenaline. This is the glory of God settling on you. We are at the precipice. We are at the moment of the seal. Everything we have discussed. The camouflage, the forge, the inventory, the warfare, the open door. It is all swirling in your spirit right now. But if we do not seal it, it will leak out. The enemy will come in an hour and try to steal the seed. We need to lock this in. We need to burn this truth into your DNA so deep that no devil in hell can ever scratch it out. This is the final instruction. This is the activation. If you are in a place where you can do so, I need you to stand up. Physically stand to your feet. If you're driving, sit up straight. If you're lying down, sit up. Adjust your posture. Stop slumping. You're not a defeated beggar asking for a crumb. You're a general receiving a commission. Put your feet on the ground. Feel the floor beneath you. That is your territory. Put your hand over your heart. Feel that beat? That is the rhythm of a purpose that refused to die. Take a deep breath. Inhale the new season. Exhale the old trauma. Focus your eyes forward. The file is open. The secrets are told. The weapons are issued. It is time to be commissioned. If you are able to stand, stand now. If you cannot stand, simply open your hands and turn your palms toward the ceiling. Do not slouch. Do not close your eyes in sleepiness. Close your eyes in focus. This is not a passive moment. This is a coronation. You are standing before the throne of the Ancient of Days to receive your papers. Father, in the mighty, matchless, and authoritative name of Yeshua, we stand in the council of heaven right now. We acknowledge that the atmosphere has shifted. We acknowledge that the books are open. We acknowledge that the waiting room is closed. Lord, you see this chosen one. You have watched them for years in the safe house. You saw them when they sat in their car, paralyzed by the silence. You saw them screaming behind the glass wall, wondering if you had forgotten their name. You saw the tears they cried when the rejection letters came. You saw the nights they paced the floor, feeling the crushing weight of the ambiguity. But today, we stand in agreement with your truth. We declare that they were never forgotten. They were hidden, they were encrypted, they were cherished. I seal this revelation in their spirit right now. I seal the truth of the Spiritual Witness Protection Program. I bind the spirit of rejection, I loose the spirit of protection. I declare that the camouflage is removed. The rejection was your shield. The delay was your timing. The isolation was your purification. It is finished. They do not need the mask anymore. I seal the inventory of the dark. I declare that they are walking out of the cave not empty-handed, but armed. I seal the gift of discernment. I seal the immunity to applause. I seal the spiritual grit. These weapons are locked and loaded in their spirit. They will not malfunction. I seal the strategy against the 7 forms of warfare. I declare that the enemy's playbook is exposed. When the imposter voice speaks, they will silence it. When the zombie resurrection tries to return, they will bury it. When the counterfeit blessing appears, they will reject it. When the smear campaign starts, they will stand in the authority of their silence. I declare that the timeline of 40 days is marked. For the next 40 days, angels are dispatched to guard their transition. I rebuke every spirit of sabotage. I rebuke every distraction. I rebuke every fear of the light. I declare that the open door set before them cannot be shut by any man, any devil, or any past mistake. Chosen one, hear the word of the Lord. You are no longer a fugitive. You are a forceful advancer. You are no longer a victim of the silence. You are a voice to the nations. You are coming out of the background. You are coming into the center of your assignment. So I ask you now, in the presence of witnesses, will you carry this weight? Will you walk in this light? Will you steward this glory? If your answer is yes, say it out loud right now. Say, I will. Heaven heard that. It is recorded. It is settled. You are commissioned. You are authorized. You are dangerous. The Witness Protection Program is officially terminated. Your mission begins the moment you open your eyes. You are dismissed from the dark. Go. Do not say Amen. Just sit in this silence and let it settle.